What's going on, guys? Richard Schneider right here, Nittany Nation, joined by Penn State beat writer Clay Sourty. Clay, what's going on, man?
Not much, not much. In the process of moving, so of course now is when Penn State drops some pretty big news as this time of the year goes.
Of course.
But always good to keep me on my toes.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, you just said it, but they just got a big name transfer portal guy, Demeioun Robinson, Demeioun Chop Robinson. I guess his nickname's Chop, technically. I covered him a little bit in high school, but I didn't talk to him that much. But four-star edge rusher. And tell me what this means for Penn State. And you kind of not broke it, but you're pretty close to breaking it yesterday because you got some little bit of intel, right?
Yeah, Demeioun Robinson's a kid that early on in his recruitment at Quince Orchard, Penn State was pretty close to. There was a while where I think a lot of people thought that he was trending towards Penn State. That kind of slowed down towards the end of the 2021 cycle, ended up staying at home with Maryland. Former teammate of a Penn State commit, eventual Maryland defensive tackle Adam McLean. Interesting scenario there, but finds its way to Maryland. Has what I would consider a good, not great freshman year, but as a true freshman, made an impact. Was a midseason All-American for ESPN. Had a couple of sacks, 19 tackles, played that edge outside linebacker in Maryland's kind of 3-4 stand-up role. But enters the portal. Penn State's name came up early in this one, and really, for most accounts, they were the only one that was really in this from the beginning. He visited this past weekend. Visit went really, really well, and obviously now here we are a couple days later with him making his commitment.
Yeah, like you said, it's a pretty big addition. Obviously, they lost a couple guys this offseason in Luketa and Ebiketie. How does he kind of slide into this defensive line room? Is he just like an automatic starter, do we think, or?
It's going to be interesting to see how Robinson works here. He's a true sophomore. Like I said, a good, not great freshman year. I think there is some tempering of expectations to an extent. He's not Arnold Ebiketie. He's not at that level of prospect, at least not at this point in his career. He could get to that level or even potentially surpass that level. He's that type of athlete. He has great length, great burst off the ball. I think right now you're looking at that he'll play the weak side defensive end position. Assuming Adisa Isaac is healthy, I think he'll slide into that second spot there on depth chart. He'll definitely get a lot of playing time, as we've seen with Sean Spencer previously, and now with John Scott. Penn State really likes to rotate its defensive line and keep them fresh. Yeah. I think you'll see also a lot of packages where they get as much speed on the field as possible from the edge spot, and Robinson is a guy that has speed in bunches. It sounds like he's going to be on campus for a Maymester. If not, he'll be on campus for the summer. He'll be competing probably with guys like a Deneioun Dennis Sutton, like a Zariah Fisher, who actually I think could see more time over a strong side defensive end. But for now, I think he penciled in probably on the second spot on in the depth chart behind Adisa Isaac, and will play probably a good chunk as a true sophomore.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it's a heck of an addition for Penn State. I know he was ranked the number 8 overall uncommitted transfer prospect currently by the Athletics. So, I mean, it's pretty big news. Looking at the pass rushing grades, too, on PFF, I think he's only behind Ebiketie and Tangelo, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, he would have ranked 3rd on this Penn State defensive line last year. But, yeah, I guess there's not really much to talk about here. But the one thing I do want to bring up is there was rumors about him and the involvement of NIL, and then all of a sudden Sean Clifford announces his thing yesterday. How much of a factor do you think this all kind of played?
Yeah, I don't know that it was the driving force, but it certainly doesn't hurt. We talked before this commitment a little bit about where we thought it would go, and when you have these transfer portal things, it's really hard to project because somebody can come in with a Godfather offer and say, "Hey, you were going to go here. We're going to make sure you go to our school." It certainly doesn't help. I think Penn State is kind of slowly but surely making strides with their NIL stuff. I think it also helped to have the prior relationships with not only Robinson from when he was being recruited, but with his high school coaches, able to do a little bit of back channeling there and make sure that you're ahead of the game when somebody hits the portal. So that definitely helps. We've talked for probably a month or two now about Penn State needing to add an edge and a guy that really has some pop and has some speed, because it seems like they've got some guys on the other side in spades, whether it's a Nick Tarburton, a Zariah Fisher, a Smith Vilbert, who had a nice bowl game. They've got guys that can kind of play that strong side defensive end position, but they really needed somebody to come in and step in and try to replace the production that Ebiketie left. And I don't know that any one guy is going to do it, and I'd be surprised if Robinson did it individually. But now that you have a Robinson, you have an Adisa Isaac, you're starting to build the depth that they're going to need to replace that production.
Yeah, I know. We just put out a tweet recently. It's a star-studded defensive line room. I mean, it's 5-star, 4-star, 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 et cetera, et cetera. But I want to move on a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about spring ball. What are you hearing so far about the team? I know we've heard rave reviews about Nick Singleton, and between him and Drew Allar, I think that's really everyone wants to talk about.
Yeah, I think right now Nick Singleton's probably the talk of the town. Everyone expected him to come in and be an instant impact guy in the running back room, but you never know until you know. And within a week or so, I think you and I both heard from people on the staff and a little bit here and there about the kid seems to be the real deal. Fellow true freshman Katron Allen seems to have really impressed in the running back room. I think with the LR, it's another one where people need to temper their expectations, and that's not a knock necessarily on an LR. Yeah. It's just the nature of somebody making the step from high school football to Big Ten football. Sean Clifford has looked like Sean Clifford, and I mean that in a positive way. He looks like a guy that's now spent 6 seasons with the program, is very comfortable. By all accounts, Christian Veilleux has had a very good spring in the quarterback room. On the other side of the ball, there was a lot of talk about what Penn State would look like in the safety room. Obviously, Tig Brown is the big name there, the guy that's expected to step up and fill Jaquan Brisker's shoes. He's apparently been a standout, not just with his play, but with his leadership. Zakee Wheatley, another Maryland guy, is now a redshirt freshman, made the move over from corner to safety. And apparently he's been a ball hawk, been all over the field in practice. So definitely a name to look out for. And Penn State's sort of working through a position where it sounds like we're going to see a lot more 4-2-5 fronts with Curtis Jacobs being penciled in there. You got then Kobe King and Tyler Elston have battled it out. So you're seeing things start to clear up. It's gonna be until I think summer that we really know how these look, but it definitely, there's some encouraging signs there for some of the young players on the Penn State front.
Yeah, I know we'll have more from a couple players later today, tomorrow too, I believe, via like Zoom calls and all those press conferences they have. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like the team's progressing pretty well. It sounds like the young guys are stepping up. They're adding a ton of additions. Now, my last question for you would be, are we done with the transfer portal this offseason? Can we close the thread down, or do we have to keep it up for a little bit longer?
I would say that there's definitely a possibility. I don't know that Penn State is aggressively pursuing anyone at the moment, but I think if the right person came available, particularly in that linebacker role, is where I think that Penn State could look to add. Obviously, it's going to depend on how guys like an Elston, like King, maybe like some of the younger guys perform in the summer. But I think at the end of spring practice, you're definitely going to see some names pop into that portal like we've seen the last year or two that could be worth keeping an eye on.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Clay. Any final thoughts, I guess? This is kind of all we got.
We're 2 weeks out as we speak, or about 10 days out from Blue White. We're going to have a lot of coverage leading up to that and from that game. We're going to hopefully have a little bit of questions answered about where guys stand health-wise and where some of the young guys stand production-wise. And then hopefully we head into summer ball and we can find out a little bit more about these freshmen that hit campus.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Clay. Guys, stay tuned for more Nittany Nation podcasts. Subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, etc., all that other good shit. So, all right, stay tuned for more soon on pennstate.rivals.com. And, yeah, I guess that's it. That's it.
Peace out.